got heavy when we got to the bathroom. We didn't go back to her place. We went to some place where she catched us. She said, I know I look tired, but everything's fried here in Memphis. Man, I wanna know exactly which bathroom to. Does it make any difference? It can't be important.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Update. The Lund Loop Daily Update for Friday, August 21st, 2026. Happy Friday. Anyone know this band? The Hold Steady? You know, one of the great things about... All right, I told myself I'm going to talk slower today. Everybody knows that I've got a very rapid fire pace. I get excited. There's a little bit of that ADHD anxiety in me, so I'm going to try to keep it mellow today. Has anyone heard of the Hold Steady? You know, like you go on Spotify and they do that Discover Weekly and they kind of curate stuff for you. This band came up, this song Sequestered in Memphis came up on my Discover Weekly. It's really good. And I have never heard of this band before. So I'm trying to figure out if I should go deeper into their back catalog. So someone let me know. Also, I'm officially calling it, I don't like August. Okay. It's hot, it's humid, there's no holidays, and it is the longest or one of the longest months. So from now on, August is out. All right. Hey, are you excited for the weekend? God knows I am. One of the things you should be excited for is the Saturday cut. Now, what is the Saturday cut? Well, there's no charts, there's no technical analysis. What I do is I extract 3 timeless concepts from the daily update transcripts of the previous week, send them out in an email. And these are things that I think we can all benefit from by putting in our process going forward. So if you're a free subscriber, you'll get it. Obviously, you'll get it if you're a paid subscriber. If you're watching this on some other platform, just become a free Lund Loop subscriber. You'll get it in your mailbox tomorrow, like 2:30 a.m. Pacific time. Before we get into, there's so much to get into here. Before we get into it, I want to, because it's Friday, I'm going to shout out some of the Lund Loop trading room members, the active people that make this community what it is. Velo Trader, my buddy. Velo Trader. Oh, you know, I got to disable this thing, right? The streamer mode thing. There you go. Disable it. All right. Now I can see everyone's names. I know everyone's names. Bruno Drums, Jason OBX. How about, wait for it. How about Plum Crazy? Says he should thank me for TII being up 14%. I don't know why. Maybe that's because I mentioned something about rare earths earlier in the day. But you made the trade, buddy, so don't give me the credit. How about, but that's a tough one. Srohits? All right. Hi, Brian. Is this cash raising primarily driven by stops getting hit, or are you also seeing some other things in the market driving this raising cash? Srohits is talking about some sells I made today, and that's what we're going to talk about in just a minute. Who else? Johnny F. Johnny F. is a great writer. Gator, of course, always here. Phil Bone, the Philster. So great group of people here, Monday through Friday, even on the weekends. And one of the reasons that this is the primary reason this is a great community because of these people. So, all right, what I want to do is so I sold some pieces of core positions today. The first significant sales I've done for quite some time, raised some cash. And I want to walk you through what my thought process was. And it's going to be ugly. Because, you know, they say like you should never see how they make the sausage. Well, that's what a trader's mind is. It is an ugly process. And we're going to kind of go through it all step by step here. Before we do, I want to set some context, okay? How we got to where we are today. Let's just back up to this day here, which was Wednesday, June 3rd. Get that out of there. Okay. This day right here. And that's when I put out this daily update. Is it time to write yourself a big fat check? Right there, June 3rd. And what I did on that day is I wrote myself a big fat check because I thought we were coming into the summer trading season. It had been an amazing run. Remember, this run up here had made a ton of money. I wanted to kind of reset. I wanted to be present, not be swinging for every trade that was out there during the summer. I want to spend some time with my kids. So haven't been that active in this period in terms of, real short day trades. There hasn't obviously been a lot of swing trades opportunities. But what I was doing in here was I was doing some active trading. And just as a reminder here, there are 5 types of strategies: scalping, day trading, swing trading, active investing, and long-term investing. So what I was doing is active investing during this period. And what active investing is this is when you are trying to accumulate a core position that you think at some point is going to be higher. It's not a trading, like there's no trigger that you're trying to get. And so since you're taking it kind of out of the trading realm a little bit, you break up your position into maybe 3, 4, 5 tranches. You buy it over time. You do it strategically. Maybe you buy on a dip. Maybe you sell calls against part of it when it rallies. Maybe you sell puts to get into it. You're trying to bring your cost basis down. So it's kind of a hybrid of a longer term investment position, but you're using short term trading techniques to keep that cost down. So that's what I was doing in a number of names, most notably Palantir and Path. All right, so let's go over here. All right, so this is what Palantir has done in the last few weeks. Went from 120 to as high as 180. So that's a 50% run in just a few weeks. Path had a similar run. It went from 10 to as high as almost 17. 70% run in about a month. Okay. So I sold some Path today. I sold 2/3 of my Path position, although I did replace some of it with some short-term options. I sold 3/5 of my Palantir position today. Right? So why? Why did I do this? Well, when you're making the decision to buy or sell with a longer term position, right? Not a short day trade, not even really a swing trade. There's so many competing factors, right? There's so many things you can put in the I should sell column, or there's some that you could put in the I should buy column. And they're always in conflict with each other, right? And so I had a lot of things in both columns that were fighting with each other in terms of these positions. Now, I want to take you through the way I thought about this. I'm going to try to represent it as clearly and honestly and as in real time as it was as I went through it. Why am I doing this? Well, first of all, because it's the truth. It's, anyone that's out there that claims that they're just they're automatons and they're very emotionally detached from the process of buying and selling, either they're the extreme outlier or they're just lying, because most of us have lots of conflicts going on inside of us when we try to make decisions like this. That's one reason. The second reason I'm going through this, and I'm talking fast again, aren't I? The second reason is because it's the truth, right? I'm not trying to sell more newsletters. I'm not trying to sell my service. I'm not trying to pretend that I am immaculate, that I'm perfect, right? That's not the goal here. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anyone in our community make money. It doesn't help me make money. So let's talk about the real world, right? And the third reason, and the most important reason, and I say this every time I'm looking at the camera and talking, and you think I'm talking to you or I'm talking to community members, whatever, and I am, and I hope what I say helps you, but I am always talking to me first, because I need constant reinforcement on the best practices for trading. Just like I say, you don't go to the gym once and work out and then you're in shape for the rest of your life. You have to keep going. And that's, for me, the process of trading is reminding myself, hey, don't do this. Try to do this. Remember to do that, right? And talking this through live here in front of everyone is the best way for me to do it. So, okay. So let's get to the idea of why I sold. Competing ideas. Okay, so I've got these two names, Palantir and Path. Now, the first thing is the market as a whole, right? And there's a component of that. We'll talk about that when we get to when we review the indexes in a minute. But let's talk specifically about these names. this has been a really good year. This is my best year so far ever in my career. I mean, unless we get hit by a meteor, I can't see that changing. But even as good as this year is, I've got numbers, right? Like, I'm here, but I'm like, hey, it'd be really cool to get here, right? I've got percentage numbers and I've got raw dollar numbers. And these two positions have taken me closer to those, and they could get me to those numbers that I've got, right? So I'm thinking, okay, those numbers, I want to hold on for those numbers, right? Because these positions can get me to those numbers, right? I also have numbers in terms of where I think Palantir could get to, right? On the chart. Like I think Palantir could get to 190 easily. I feel like Path could get to, 2021 pretty easily, right? So there's numbers out there that I'm considering. I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay, how about the AI narrative? There's this narrative that OpenAI and Anthropic are about to do a roadshow. And a lot of people think that in this roadshow, they're going to show how they're coming for software. We had that big sell-off in software. Software's kind of rebounded, but now people think they're going to really come out and unveil some stuff that is going to put the final dagger in software's hearts. Okay, maybe. But I also think that if that's the case, Palantir and Path are kind of outliers, and wouldn't be as affected by that. But then again, if the whole market sells off the software space, those could get sold off. So that goes in the kind of maybe sell column. What else do I have? I've got the overall idea of those stocks, right? Like I think Palantir is going to be a generational stock eventually. I think Path has the ability to be a generational stock. So that's kind of in the hold column. How about I have a hard time reading my own. Okay. How about the technicals? Let's look at the technicals, right? So if we look at the technicals on Palantir, what has it done? After it flushed through this support level, it recaptured it. It broke out on earnings on big volume, broke this long-term downtrend, and is basing right below a resistance level. From a technical standpoint, that's pretty goddamn good. How about Path, right? Let's go to Path. Whoops. Someday I'll learn how to use OBS Studios. Come on, Brian. Where are we? Wait for it. There we go. All right. How about Path? Path has been great. This big rounding bottom that held this level a few times. Post earnings, started to ramp. Look at that. I mean, this thing looks like it's ready to break this long-term downtrend. So this, from a technical standpoint, looks good. All right. So we put that in the hold column. All right. So I have to go through my tech stack. Sorry, not my tech stack. I have to go through my process stack, right? All those things that we just, talked about. And I have to say, where are they in the priority? Like, which is the most important thing that I have to pay attention to? Which is the least important thing I have to pay attention to? So the least important one for sure is my friggin' number. Because my number has nothing to do with the market. It has nothing to do with the charts. That's just a psychological thing that's in Brian's head. So that thing should just go out and have that's got no priority whatsoever. How about the next thing? How about the AI narrative? Okay. We try not to pay attention to narratives here, but I'm not an automaton. That thing does weigh on me, and I have to think about it, and I can't completely get rid of it, but it's pretty low on the priority stack, right? So the next thing would be the Palantir numbers, right? Where do I think Palantir can get to? Again, that's still kind of my number. I mean, yeah, the charts show that it probably could get to that number. But who knows? Maybe I'm being a little bit biased on that. How about the long-term story in Palantir? Yeah, that's great, but it's not a trading thing, right? I'm not investing in these things. I'm trying to hold them longer than a trade, but I'm not like just, put them in a drawer and check them in 10 years. So that doesn't go very high up in the priority thing. How about the actual technicals? Okay. Now the technicals, those are a big priority, right? I look at the technicals and I'm saying, I should really be paying attention to those way more than a lot of these other things. And those technicals say, man, these are holds, why would you sell them? Right. But here's the number one thing in the priority stack above everything else. You can't say you are risk focused and then ignore risk. And what's happened in the last couple months is because Path has gone up 70%, because Palantir has gone up 50%, these two names have become outsized allocations in my portfolio. Okay. Not only that, but because they both identify with the software sector, they basically act like one stock. So I now have this massive component, these two stocks, which are an outsized component of my portfolio. So that has to be the overriding priority above everything else, risk. And because of that, I decided to trim them down to a more reasonable risk size, right? So I still have those positions. I still can enjoy some upside on them. But if they drop, by the time they get to the technical spots where I would sell them, it's not going to be nearly as impactful to my portfolio as it would have been before. So, this is what real trading is about, right? Being unsure, having conflicts, having competing ideas at the same time, and trying to go through that priority stack and say, okay, this is valid. I have a number, right? But should I act on that number? No. Okay, there's an AI narrative. Is that enough to make me act? Maybe. And you just go through it. For me, risk is always the number one priority. That's the thing that overrides everything else. So, and here's the crazy thing about this. I've done a pretty good job of not hyper focusing on these outsized positions, but the last couple of weeks, I've just had a low level anxiety. I can't really put my finger on. I don't know why. I'm looking at these names. They're holding up well. The technicals are fine. But I think I kind of got into that mode, and I've talked about this before in terms of like ADHD and anxiety in general, where like I go, I'm not an anxious person. And I'll have an anxious moment and I'll say, see, that's anxiety. And then now I'm back to normal. But what I realized at some point is like, when you wake up in the morning, you're already at an elevated anxiety level. Like my baseline anxiety was already higher. I mean, this is something that I worked on in my life. What I realized is that my baseline anxiety about having these outsized positions has already gotten to this level where when I wake up, I'm there, right? So as soon as I started selling today, I was like, it's like this weight lifted off of me that I really didn't think that I was holding. So I felt a whole lot better about where I ended the day. I raised more cash than I've raised in quite some time, about 25% cash. And again, the reason I wanted to talk this through, besides trying to self-reinforce, is that it's okay to be conflicted. It's okay to not know the exact answer. It's okay to kind of waffle and go back and forth. It's okay to change your mind as different pieces of data and information come in. But you have to prioritize that stack, right? You have to figure out what the factors are that are the most. Maybe if you're 22, and you got plenty of life to live, or maybe you're independently wealthy, maybe the risk one is not the top of your stack. Maybe just feeling good about yourself is, or bragging to your friends. I don't know. I'm not going to make any judgments, but whatever it is, you got to prioritize that stack so that it works for you, right? And in this case, it's working for me, and I'm going into the weekend feeling just a lot lighter. So anyway, all right, let's do what we do on every Friday, and we'll go through the weeklies, which we do every Friday, and then we'll go through the indexes, we'll go through all the sectors, and we'll go through the watch list, which there were a lot of nice winners, and we'll see what the changes are for Monday. I still talk too fast on that. I can't help it. I just can't help it. As much as I try to say, okay, moderate, I get excited, and this is, you hear my sister. She talks faster than me, if you can believe that. Okay, so in terms of the SPX, well, actually, let's go to the weeklies.